Hey guys, EckhartsLadder here with a bit of Star Wars news that I thought you might find interesting. This is my first news video, but I spent half my time talking about Star Wars already, playing Star Wars games, thinking about Star Wars, so I figured it was a natural transition. An anonymous 4chan user has claimed that the first teaser trailer for The Last Jedi will be released on February 10th, 2017. That's just over a week from today. Previous rumors had suggested that the teaser might be attached to the Super Bowl, might come out this weekend, or might not actually appear until April for Celebration. And while this could be bullshit, and to be frank, 4chan does release a lot of unsubstantiated bullshit, it's nonetheless pretty interesting and I think worth looking at. So allegedly the teaser starts off with Finn waking up from the coma that he's placed into at the end of episode 7. The leaker says that he's panting and sweating hard, which seems to me to be a callback to the very first teaser from episode 7, where he wakes up on Jakku and looks around completely confused and sweaty. So supposedly he's on the med bay of a ship, and Poe Dameron comes rushing into the room to see him and says they're almost here, which is paraphrased, while shaking and looking concerned. And all of this is believable enough, but it's all unsubstantiated. And I think that's really the theme for this entire leak. It's very believable, and I actually think it'd be a really good trailer, but it's unsubstantiated. The user claims that from this point on, the trailer just sped by, and that the events are a little out of order, or that they might not be exact, but they still go on to give a pretty specific description. They say the next scene has a procession of mourners walking through a large city. We don't know if this is Han's funeral or someone else's funeral, but he says that it reminds him of Jeddah. He says that someone in a dark piece of clothing pulls out a blaster and fires it at someone in a procession. He says the next scene is Poe, Finn, BB-8, and Kelly Marie Tran, who's a new character to be introduced in this episode, are dressed in First Order clothing, reacting to something happening off-screen. He says that they could be reacting to the shot from the last scene where someone's getting shot at a funeral procession, but that it could be split together to make it look that way. That wouldn't be weird for Star Wars. Some of the Rogue One trailers split together scenes that weren't really related, and so did The Force Awakens. But I do wonder if Finn, BB-8, and Poe are dressed in First Order clothing, would they really have BB-8 with them? It seems like he would stand out and that it would probably break their disguise. But that would also kind of be a callback to the original trilogy where C-3PO and R2-D2 went along with the guys in Princess Leia when they were on the Death Star. We allegedly next see Captain Phasma commanding a battalion of stormtroopers, which he says look a little different to him. He says she shouts, "Find them," and it looks like they're in the same city as the funeral procession. I think this makes sense for a trailer, but whether it's true or not, I really can't tell either way. Regarding all this, and specifically Poe and Finn dressed in First Order costumes, that is something that we've heard possibly could happen in leaks up to this point. So that could mean one of two things. Either the initial leaks were accurate and this is accurate, or the writer of this post is just building off what has supposedly been leaked already. At this point, the user says that the trailer cuts and that there's a Leia voiceover and that Supreme Leader Snoke makes an appearance. He says that Snoke is practical effects rather than CG and that he's 8 feet tall. I can easily believe that. I think Snoke's CG was one of the worst parts of The Force Awakens. So I think if he is going to be heavily in this movie, that he would be doing practical effects. That being said, I kind of doubt them introducing him, at least in his new quasi form, in a trailer. And I'm really not sure if Leia's voiceover is going to be in a trailer too, because at least in my opinion, Leia's voice acting was another one of the worst parts about The Force Awakens. The next scene in this user's version of the trailer is a conversation between General Hux and Supreme Leader Snoke. Snoke asks Hux, "Is he alive?" To which Hux replies, "Barely, Supreme Leader." It's unclear who they're talking about, but for the next line, Hux says, "Good, the time has come for a family reunion." This line actually does seem like it could be possible to me, mostly because it's so ambiguous and would create conversation amongst fans. Who is it that they're referring to as barely alive? Is it Han Solo, which I personally think would be unlikely? Is it Luke? Is it Finn, who we know is in a coma? All we know is that somebody is almost dead and that this person has some sort of relation to another character in the movie. So at this point, the music of the trailer supposedly changes, going from a dark theme to a more triumphant and Star Wars-y theme. This would also be in keeping with the Force Awakens trailers, and it's a style that I think works, so I can see that happening. So at this point, it supposedly jumps back to Finn, who bursts into the deck on a ship where Leia and some of her advisors are standing. This would also be consistent with some other leaks that we've heard where Leia has a pretty major role in the New Republic's military. He says, "They're back, they've come back." Leia turns to him without looking surprised and says she felt it in the Force. The music at this point supposedly gets pretty epic, so suggesting, along with the previous line, possibly of Snoke and Hux, that Luke Skywalker and Rey have returned. So the next scene is one that apparently mirrors one from one of the Force Awakens trailers, which is the Millennium Falcon flying next to the sea, flying under a wave and shooting off into the sky. This is internally consistent with the rest of what the poster has suggested, because we know that Luke and Rey are on Acto, we know that Acto is a watery planet, and we know that at one point, or at least it's alluding to the fact that Luke returns and meets the Leia and everyone else. Finally, we see some TIE fighters. We see a stormtrooper say, "It's the Jedi," again, pointing to the fact that Luke has returned. We see a lightsaber igniting. We see some blue light flash. And we see what appears to be Phasma appearing and staying to fight Luke. This makes sense because I know a lot of people thought that Captain Phasma was kind of a wasted character in Episode 7. You know, she's got this really cool armor, she's got a lot of potential, but really, she doesn't do anything besides get thrown into a trash compactor. So, if they do want to make her out to be a badass, what better way than to stay and fight Luke Skywalker, most powerful Jedi in the galaxy, and probably the most powerful being in the entire galaxy. And that's basically the end of the trailer, except for we hear a Luke Skywalker voiceover saying, "Everything will die with us." That kind of stands out to me to be one of the cornier moments of the trailer. I'm not sure, like, that just doesn't sound like a very Jedi thing to say. Like, you wouldn't think the Jedi would be trying to take down multiple people in some sort of last stand, but I mean maybe. But yeah, I don't know. That's probably the least believable part of the supposed trailer leak for me. That being said, it's been 30 years, and Luke, things have obviously changed. I mean, he's got a beard for one. So, I mean, maybe he's not the pure light side user he was at the end of Episode 6. Maybe he's a bit more gray now. So that's basically it. A few things that I think are of note are that this would be a pretty long teaser. When you think of teaser, you think of like 30 seconds to a minute. This seems like there's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes worth of content. Also worth noting is that throughout this whole teaser, you would not see Luke, you would not see Rey, and you would not see Kylo Ren. Unlike the last point, I do think that would be fitting for a teaser. And just like in The Force Awakens, we did see Rey and we saw Finn, but we didn't see any of the main cast in the first teaser. I really don't know, though. I don't know if this is real or fake, and that's why I said allegedly or supposedly before every single point that the poster makes. Again, with 4chan, it's a mixed bag. Like, they have successfully leaked things before. I can think, for example, of the Batman vs. Superman script, which was leaked, I think, a few weeks in advance of the movie's release. And also, I think an early script or some version of the Force Awakens script was leaked. On the other hand, all users are anonymous. There's literally no accountability. So you can easily make something up without having to corroborate it in any way. All of that being said, if this teaser is real, I think a lot of people are going to be very happy. Just to know that Luke is actually returned and that he doesn't spend the entire movie on Acto, that he does seemingly fight Phasma, that we see spaceships, that Princess Leia is in command of a spaceship, and that we see the kind of Sith aspect of the prequels return with Supreme Leader Snoke. I think that's all things that Star Wars fans would be real fans of. Regardless of whether this is true or not, we know for a fact that these next few months are going to be exciting. But what do you think? What do you want to see in your Episode 8 trailer? Do you think this is real? When do you think the first teaser will actually be released? let me know in the comments, and let me know what you think about my thoughts as well. Like, I'm no expert, I'm just a guy who loves Star Wars a whole lot. For more Star Wars leaks like this one, I highly recommend subscribing to r/Star Wars leaks on Reddit. They have a lot of more concrete leaks, like actual set pictures, but they also have some things like this where it's iffy. Regardless of if this is true or not, it's fun to discuss. You can also follow me on YouTube. I'm going to try to make more videos about this, and when the trailer actually does come, I'm going to react and talk about what was right with this supposed leak and what was wrong. Anyways, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. This has been EckhartsLadder. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.